Hello, in this video I'm sharing my adventure in what I consider the most beautiful river I visited in Serbia. It's definitely difficult access to the river, as you can see, and there are seldom paths, but they were all steep. Nevertheless, the nature was beautiful, and as you will see, I enjoyed very much. And before I forget, there were some really beautiful fish. Not big, but very beautiful. If you stay until the end of this video, I will show you one or two tricks that may be useful for you next time you go salmon fishing. I couldn't help but take a couple of pictures whenever I stopped fishing or during fishing, because scenery was so amazing. I tried different spots, and I tried with the setup with a normal floating flying line and a lower leader with nymph on the top, because I think that was okay setup for the start, but I think I made a mistake trying to be kind of universal so I can cast dry as well as nymph. I think nymph was definitely a better approach from the start, which you will see later a little bit. Here I'm trying to dig up something from the steep pool, but except this rock on the other side, I dug up only a little small trout later on. Nothing happened here at the bottom. I was jigging some else, but here in some scenes I had some strikes and had one fish. Now here is the first trick. I did it in China as well, one of my latest videos. I would let sighter float on the surface or just elevate part of the sighter and watch it. The slightest of movements I would set a hook, because fish was not active that day and I needed something very sensitive. So I would just watch for any twitch in the sighter and react. Of course, nymph has to be very light. In this case it was 20 or 22. Now this place looked so promising and very similar to the previous one, but I had zero fish. Nevertheless, I enjoyed the scenery and I took a couple of pictures as you can see. Here you can see maybe more closely the sighter and the position I'm trying to achieve with the sighter when I'm nymph fishing here. So I choose the nymph size and weight according to the depth and speed of water. In this case, still 2.5 beat is enough. I don't want nymph to drag along the bottom. Somewhere near the bottom or mid-column is okay. So that's why the sighter can be above the water slightly, or a little bit just in the water and one end elevated. It's always a good choice to try and check out the places where you intend to wade. And in this case I was intending to wade in this slow water. Here I used this big boulder to cover myself, well, to hide myself from the fish that may be in front of me, and that proved like a good strategy, obviously. This place had a little bit more depth, more speed to the water, and it had a lot of cover, so I fished a little bit more tightly here, so not with that semi-relaxed sighter, but completely tight. I needed to see the strike immediately. Now, if you watch sighter closely, you will notice the fish strike. Try to see the strike indicator or sighter all the time as I'm fishing it, because that's how you may learn something when and why I set the hook. At least that's what I'm doing when I'm watching others' videos. Another very important thing to consider here is the speed of my sighter and the speed of water, well, the surface of water, because down there, where is the nymph, the water speed is much slower. That's why my sighter travels slower than the actual surface speed of water. That's very important to see. Now, across the river, near this boulder, I wanted to cast over there in that slack water, let my nymph sink, because I knew that something must be hiding over there, and I wasn't wrong. But you need to let your fly sink immediately at the bottom, near the bottom.
Oh, dobra. Ej, jebenti, majku, jeben.
As you may assume, these were some juicy Serbian words. Now, I covered spot like this a couple of times already in the video, and as you can see, it's shallow, it's wide, and fish can be anywhere, more or less. So you have to cast your fly across the river and cover as much surface as you can while observing your sighter. Of course, in such low water, I didn't expect any bigger fish over here, but any action was welcomed, so I stayed here and I caught some fish. Now the upper part of this spot is a bit faster, as you can see, and a little bit deeper, but the strategy was the same. Tight line nymphing or relaxed indicator nymphing, whatever was at the moment okay. I used both, but tighter connection was a little bit better at in this situation, because many currents can actually lose the sighter, and you will get less indication from your sighter than actually situation requires. The day was getting near the end. It was already 7 or near 8, so it was much darker, and I had to fish much faster than I would like to those next spots. It is sometimes very surprising how very tight spots can hold many fish, and this was one of those spots where I got a couple of fish in a row. Quite surprising, and at the same time not so surprising, because it's a very good holding water. This spot with such calm water required a little bit calmer approach, so I try to walk steadily without making too much noise, and when I get in the water too much disturbance, because I didn't want to scare the fish that was in front of me. And this spot promised a lot, as you will see.
I need a longer tippet over here. And heavier net for sure. So probably some 2 meters tippet. 1, 2. And I need heavier net to get it down and to have some contact in this turbulent water. So let's see. But the whole day I was using size 20 or size 18 flies, so I assume that I need something small and heavy. I'll use this Yavi bead for that. It's pheasant tail Yavi bead or Javi bead, whatever. I need to let it sink as well. Okay, so first just let it go in this small, well, slow water and pull it a little bit. So if I feel strike, that's good. If not, I'll just check out the opposite bank. A bit more towards the other bank, but it's a bit tricky to cast. Okay.
Sometimes jigging motion can entice fish to strike your fly. I don't use it too often, but when I do, sometimes it produces fish. And when I see it as a rule, I will use it all day probably, or until I stop getting fish. So whatever works, just try to copy and paste it for the next spot and see if it works.
Let it sink. The tippet, well, the indicator moved, so I just set a hook for that. I think I can go with something lighter. Yep, I can go with something lighter for sure. Dry fly. Yep, that's it. Over. Okay, let it sink. Keep some bend in the line and watch it up. Okay, the water is getting more Opa, that was a strike. The water is getting more shallow now, so I can shorten my tippet and get back to my old nymph. But let me just check out this. Get it down. Oh, fish. Yeah, this one's good. I'll walk it down. Yeah, this one is very nice. Ooh. Such a beautiful fish. Such a beautiful fish. Oh my god. And it's pure wild fish. Wow. But such a beautiful fish. This one made my day. Such a beautiful. Let's go fast and get checked over there and see how to get to the road. Because it's getting dark, I'm just gonna go to the prime water faster. So I just cast my line and walk at the same time. Oh, that was a fish where I casted my fly. Okay. Let's try shallow nymph. Okay, again. Okay, so it eats dry fly. Let's try a fast one. Just cast F fly that I have on my patch. I saw so many caddis flies on the rocks near the river. Okay, let's see. Hop, hop. Opa. It's eating dry fly, that's amazing.
Casting a dry fly with a level nymphing leader, so not tapered one, is a really difficult task. So if you intend to use nymph and a dry fly with your nymphing setup, go with the tapered leader.
That was a strike. No. Yep. Good job. Papa. Never mind. Smaller. Okay. There are a couple of fish rising over here. Like just in front of me there is a fish.
That was it for today. Thank you very much for watching and see you next week.